Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at this 2020 Cadillac CT4. So the CT4 is technically all new for 2020, but if you look closely, it's more of a heavily facelifted version of the Cadillac ATS that came out for 2013. This vehicle here will compete with, in a perfect world, the Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, the Acura TLX, and Lexus IS. It is built on GM's Alpha platform, which also underpins the CT5, which is Cadillac's midsize sedan, and the current generation Chevrolet Camaro. So it is a rear-wheel drive platform. This one actually has all-wheel drive, but it's pretty fun to drive. This one has the more powerful 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It makes 309 horsepower and 348 pounds-feet of torque. That's right, 348 pounds-feet of torque. And that is paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. So let's do a walk around inside, outside, and then we'll take it on a little drive. Cadillac's current design language looks pretty sharp, I'll give them that. Up front, it's got the shield-shaped grille, really narrow headlights, so there's one section of the headlight. Oh, they just conveniently turned on for me. And then you've got this LED strip that comes all the way down here. Pretty sharp design. This is a luxury trim level. There's also a sport trim that would come with a black mesh grille and sportier design elements as opposed to this one that uses more chrome and more quote-unquote luxurious stuff. The fact that this thing is more of a heavily facelifted ATS than an all-new vehicle becomes pretty clear when you look at the greenhouse. It's got the same greenhouse as the ATS, the same window shape. The American automakers have made it pretty clear that they don't see much of a future in sedans. So rather than develop an entirely new sedan for this next generation small sports sedan, Cadillac just opted to reskin the ATS. So this one has the 450T badge on the back. That's Cadillac's new, somewhat controversial way that they're identifying their different engines. I think that refers to the number of Newton meters of torque this thing has. Let's see here, actually. Yeah, so 348 pounds-feet of torque translates to 472 Newton meters of torque, and I guess they've rounded that number down to 450. So if that makes sense to you, then great. CT4 badge, so you can see C and T are not italicized, but the 4 is. And then there's your all-wheel drive badge right there. Trunk lid's kind of a unique design. It's all a flat panel right here, and then the handle is down here, just above the license plate. So there's some stuff going on in this trunk. There's a couple different tiers to it. So the flat area just encompasses this rectangle right here, and then on the sides there's this tier. Kind of weird. Little storage cubby there, some electronic stuff there. Your hinges encroach on trunk space a lot too. Yeah, not the biggest trunk. There's a little grab handle for closing the trunk right there. Also, a lot of cheap plastic in this thing. It is a General Motors product after all. I like the color scheme of this one. It's white with this kind of basketball colored interior. Here's your passive keyless entry system. It's just a button, so the key is in my pocket. To lock the car, press the button. To unlock the car, press the button. Here's the window sticker. So as equipped, this one is pretty much loaded. It's not a V model, but it's premium luxury, fully loaded almost. Total price on this one comes in at $49,640. And I guess you could question whether or not that's a good value for a small vehicle with a trunk like this. But as far as compact luxury sedans go, it's a fair price. Given that it's a GM product, you'll probably pay a little bit less than sticker price. Some of the interior appointments in this thing are a little bit behind. I like the speaker grates for the Bose system right there. Infotainment screen is a little bit smaller than what you'll find in competitors, as is the center gauge cluster screen here. Interface just feels a little bit dated. I doubt they bothered to update it much from the ATS, and as a result, it feels kind of like a Chevrolet product. Here's your shift knob. It's kind of this, like, I call it the baby hand. So to put the car into drive, you push this button and pull back. And then to put the car into park, you push this button on the side here. This allows you to control the infotainment system from the center console, but it is also a touchscreen, which is always nice. Seats are pretty comfortable. This one has heated and ventilated seats. There is a heads-up display. Can't see it too well in the daylight, but I promise it's there, and it shows like the direction you're traveling, cruise control status, and your speed. Let's hop in the back seat. Wow, it's pretty tight back here. I barely have room for my knees. The seat is in the position it would be in if I were driving. And yeah, my knees are all the way in the seat back. Seat back is plastic. 12-volt outlet back here, a couple air vents, a light. This one does not have a sunroof. I just noticed that. That's a strange omission on a $50,000 vehicle. Center console armrest has some cup holders, and that's about it. The leather feels pretty good. Perforated, even in back here. Seats do look really nice in this car. Apparently there's a child lock on. Okay. Apparently there's a child lock on both doors. So, not the biggest vehicle to have to climb out of via the front seat, but do what we gotta do. Alright. This thing is surprisingly fast. 0 to 60 is rated at about 5 seconds. I've seen as little as 4.8, 4.9. And yeah, it's quick. It's actually fairly easy to induce oversteer too, which I was not expecting. And there's 50. And so it hesitates at first, and then the turbo kicks on, and it does throw you back in your seat a little bit. This car definitely feels as powerful as they say it is, if not more powerful. A couple different driving modes on the console here. So you've got Tour, Sport, Snow and Ice, and then My Mode. We'll go into Sport mode. Actually, I think we were always in Sport mode. So when you put the car into Sport mode, then you turn it off and you turn it back on, it's still in Sport mode. Wow. In that case, I was saying wow, not because of how fast it felt, but how much you could tell when the turbochargers kicked in. There was a fair amount of turbo lag there. It starts off kind of just crawling, and then the turbochargers kick in and they throw you back. It's not like this car accelerates quite like a rocket, but it's still quick. It's definitely quick. 10-speed automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, but it is rear biased, so you can flick the back end out a little, which is fun. Something that kind of kills the experience, GM, for whatever reason, has the absolute worst turn signal stocks. I noticed this in the Silverado pickup, and I'm really surprised that I'm noticing the exact same thing in a Cadillac product here. The turn signal stock, in most cars, you just kind of click it down and it goes thump, and it's nice. It's a touch point. It should be nice, especially in a luxury car. In this thing, you kind of bend it until it snaps into place. The bending part isn't pleasant, and the snap isn't pleasant either. It's like everyone else can design good turn signal stocks, and GM just kind of uses this crap. I don't really understand it. And then even once it clicks into place, the thing still bends down a little bit. It's the little things like this that keep Cadillac in a lower tier from Audi, BMW, Mercedes. This car kind of feels halfway in between like a Toyota Camry and an Audi A4. It's a rear-wheel drive platform, which is always welcomed. Engine's relatively powerful, even though it is a 4-cylinder. Most of that power is coming from a turbocharger. The leather is nice. The design is pretty sharp, at least in terms of the exterior. But then you get into the interior, and it's just a little bit heavy on things like black plastic. These paddle shifters aren't nearly as big as you'd expect them to be on a car like this, and they're just black plastic with the pluses and minuses printed on them. A lot of the competitors use at least finished in a chrome color. They still might be plastic, but they'd be silver, they'd be a little bigger, they'd have the plus and minus symbols embossed into them. It just makes for a heftier feeling, and this car kind of lacks that. That said, it's built on the same platform as the Camaro. It uses the 4-cylinder engine that you can get in the Camaro, and it has sports car driving dynamics. I'll certainly give it that. So as we start to wrap up this review here, the CT4 is in a weird place. Like I said,
Cadillac will tell you that it's targeted at the German sports sedans, the compact sports sedans like the A4 3 Series and Mercedes-Benz C-Class. To me, it feels like somewhere in between those and something like a Toyota Camry with the V6 engine. The design is sharp, it has more of a presence than a mainstream sedan, but it's just not quite as polished as what you get from the Germans. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think we've about covered the CT4. There are some things to like about it. Sporty chassis, it just doesn't quite live up to its luxury car billing when you sit down in the interior. Thanks for watching.